Here are some key facts about real estate and being a landlord. 1. Real estate investment benefits. Appreciation. Property values typically rise over time, which can provide long-term financial gains. Passive income. Renting out property generates a steady stream of income. Tax benefits. Landlords can deduct property taxes, mortgage interest, repairs, and maintenance costs on their taxes. Diversification. Real estate offers a different type of investment, which can reduce overall portfolio risk. Responsibilities of a landlord. Maintenance and repairs. Landlords are responsible for keeping the property in a habitable condition. Tenant management. Finding, vetting, and dealing with tenants, including lease agreements, is part of the job. Legal obligations. Landlords must comply with fair housing laws, rent control laws in some areas, and local building codes. Collecting rent. Managing rent collection and handling late or missed payments is a regular responsibility. 3. Challenges of being a landlord. Tenant turnover. Vacancies can hurt cash flow, and finding reliable tenants takes time. Unexpected expenses. Property damage or large maintenance issues, e.g. plumbing or roof repairs, can quickly add up. Legal issues. Evictions, tenant disputes, or violations of housing laws can lead to costly legal battles. Time-consuming. Managing tenants, repairs, and the property itself can be a significant time investment, especially if owning multiple properties. 4. Types of real estate. Residential includes single-family homes, multifamily homes, and apartment buildings. Commercial consists of office buildings, retail spaces, and industrial properties. Vacation rentals, properties rented out short-term, often through platforms like Airbnb. 5. Common landlord tips. Screen tenants carefully. Proper screening helps avoid problematic tenants who may cause issues like late rent payments or property damage. Stay organized. Keeping clear records of all financial transactions and communications with tenants is essential. Be proactive with maintenance. Regular upkeep can prevent costly repairs and help maintain the property's value. Know local laws. Real estate laws vary by location, and understanding them can prevent legal troubles. 6. Financial considerations. Leverage. Real estate investors often use loans to purchase properties. Leverage can amplify returns, but it also increases risk if the market declines. Cash flow. It's essential to ensure the rental income exceeds expenses like mortgage payments, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance costs. 7. Property management. Some landlords hire property management companies to handle day-to-day tasks like tenant communication, rent collection, and maintenance, especially if they own multiple properties or live far away from the property. 8. Types of rental leases. Fixed-term lease. This lease lasts for a specific period, typically 1 year. The rent amount is locked in for the duration, providing both the tenant and landlord with predictability. Month-to-month lease. These leases are more flexible, with either party typically needing to give 30 days notice before ending the agreement. However, they often result in more tenant turnover. Commercial lease. In commercial real estate, leases are often long-term, and tenants might be responsible for many of the property's expenses, including taxes, insurance, and maintenance, often referred to as a triple net lease. 9. Rent control and rent stabilization. Rent control. In certain cities, there are laws limiting how much a landlord can increase rent annually. These laws are typically designed to protect tenants from excessive rent hikes, but can limit a landlord's ability to raise rent to market rates. Rent stabilization. In some areas, rent stabilization laws require landlords to only raise rent by a small fixed percentage each year. Best practices. Credit checks. A good credit score typically indicates that a tenant will pay rent on time. Background checks. Many landlords conduct criminal and eviction background checks to reduce risk. Income verification. Requiring tenants to have an income that is 2.5 to 3 times the rent amount can help ensure they can afford the property. 11. Vacancy rates and their impact. Vacancy rates. This measures the percentage of rental units that are unoccupied at any given time. Higher vacancy rates can indicate a less desirable area or oversaturation of rental units. Impact on profitability. Every day a rental property sits vacant, it costs the landlord money in lost rent. Keeping vacancy rates low is crucial for maintaining positive cash flow. 12. Real estate cycles. Real estate typically moves in cycles, which include periods of growth, expansion peak, high demand, decline, falling prices, and recovery. Prices stabilize and start rising again. Market timing. Understanding real estate cycles can help investors buy during the recovery or early expansion phases when prices are lower, and sell or adjust during peak phases when values are high. 13. Equity and appreciation. Building equity. As tenants pay down your mortgage, you build equity in the property. Over time, this can represent a significant portion of the property's value. Appreciation. Real estate generally appreciates over time, meaning the value of the property increases, which can result in a substantial profit when sold. 14. Real estate investment strategies. Buy and hold. This involves purchasing property and renting it out to generate long-term income and equity appreciation. House hacking. Some landlords live in one part of their rental property, e.g. a duplex, while renting out the other units to cover mortgage costs. BRRRR method stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Investors purchase undervalued properties, renovate them, rent them out, refinance the mortgage to take out equity, and then repeat the process. Flipping. Investors buy properties at a lower price, renovate them, and sell them for a profit. This strategy is higher risk and often requires significant upfront capital. 15. Real estate depreciation. Real estate investors can claim depreciation on their rental property as a tax deduction. The IRS allows the cost of the building, not the land, to be depreciated over 27.5 years, which can reduce taxable rental income. 16. Property management software. Many landlords use property management software to help streamline tasks, such as tracking rent payments, managing maintenance requests, and communicating with tenants. Some popular options include Buildium, AppFolio, and Tenant Cloud. 17. Insurance for landlords. Landlord insurance. This type of insurance typically covers property damage, liability, and loss of rental income in case the property becomes uninhabitable. Renter's insurance. Many landlords require tenants to carry renter's insurance, which protects the tenant's personal property and provides liability coverage. 18. Section 8 housing. Government assistance. Section 8 is a government program in the U.S. that provides rental assistance to low-income tenants. Landlords who accept Section 8 tenants receive a portion of the rent directly from the government. Guaranteed income. Many landlords find Section 8 appealing because part of the rent is guaranteed, reducing the risk of missed payments. 19. Eviction process. Legal requirements. Evictions can be a lengthy and expensive process. Landlords must follow specific legal procedures to evict a tenant, which vary by location. Notice to quit. In many areas, landlords must provide tenants with a formal notice to quit before initiating eviction. This notice gives tenants a set period to remedy the issue, such as paying back rent. Court involvement. If the tenant does not comply, the landlord may need to go to court to obtain an eviction order. 20. Cash flow and profitability metrics. Cash-on-cash return. This metric measures the return on actual cash invested, not the entire property value. It's calculated as annual pre-tax cash flow divided by the total cash invested. Cap rate, short for capitalization rate. This measures the rate of return on an investment property based on the income it is expected to generate. It's calculated as net operating income divided by the property's current market value. 21. A 1031 exchange. A 1031 exchange allows real estate investors to defer paying capital gains taxes when selling a property, provided they reinvest the proceeds into another like-kind property of equal or greater value. This is a popular strategy for real estate investors looking to grow their portfolio without immediately triggering large tax liabilities. 22. Zoning laws. Zoning regulations. Local governments have zoning laws that determine how land can be used, e.g., residential, commercial, industrial. Understanding the zoning for a property is essential because it determines whether you can rent it out, develop it, or change its use. Variance requests. If a property owner wants to use land in a way that doesn't conform to current zoning laws, they may need to file for a variance or exception with the local government. 23. Short-term versus long-term rentals. Short-term rentals. Platforms like Airbnb and Vrbo allow landlords to rent properties for short periods, typically to tourists. This can offer higher per-night rates but involves more management and cleaning between stays. Long-term rentals. Leasing properties on a year-long basis or longer can provide more stable income with less frequent turnover, but may result in lower rental rates compared to short-term rentals. 24. Real estate syndication. In a real estate syndication, a group of investors pools their money to invest in large properties, such as apartment complexes or commercial buildings. A syndicator typically manages the deal and property, while investors receive a portion of the profits without being directly involved in management. 25. Vacancy loss and occupancy rates. Vacancy loss. This represents the potential rental income lost when a property is unoccupied. Landlords aim to minimize vacancy loss by keeping occupancy rates high. Occupancy rate, a measure of the percentage of time a rental unit is occupied. Higher occupancy rates mean more consistent rental income. It's a key performance indicator for evaluating the success of rental properties. 26. Gross rent multiplier, GRM. The GR way to evaluate the profitability of a rental property by comparing its price to its gross rental income. It is calculated by dividing the property's price by its annual rental income. While GRM doesn't take into account operating expenses, it's a simple way to assess the potential of an investment. 27. Rent-to-price ratio. The rent-to-price ratio helps investors assess whether a property will provide good rental returns. It's calculated by dividing the monthly rent by the property's purchase price. A ratio around 1% is often seen as favorable for investors. 28. Rent collection methods. Online payments. Many landlords now use digital payment platforms, e.g. PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle, or specialized property management software to collect rent automatically. Post-dated checks. Some landlords request post-dated checks from tenants for several months in advance to simplify the rent collection process. Direct deposit. In some cases, landlords can set up direct deposit arrangements with tenants to ensure rent is automatically transferred. 29. Rent escrow. Rent escrow is a process where tenants can deposit rent payments into an escrow account when there are unresolved maintenance or repair issues. The rent is held in escrow until the landlord makes the necessary repairs. 30. Fair housing laws. Landlords must comply with fair housing laws, which prohibit discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, or disability. Violating these laws can result in severe legal consequences, so it's important to be aware of them when screening tenants. 31. Capital expenditures, CapEx. CapEx refers to the long-term improvements or repairs that add value to a property, such as replacing a roof, HVAC system, or major structural work. These expenses are often large and should be factored into long-term planning. Savvy landlords set aside reserves to cover future CapEx costs. 32. Return on investment. ROI measures the overall profitability of an investment and is calculated by dividing the net profit by the initial cost of the investment. For real estate, it factors in both rental income and any appreciation in the property's value. 33. Tenant retention strategies. Incentives for long-term tenants. Offering incentives like reduced rent increases, free amenities, or renewal bonuses can help keep good tenants long-term, reducing turnover costs. Communication. Maintaining open communication with tenants and addressing concerns promptly is key to tenant satisfaction, which can increase retention rates. 34. Rent-to-income ratio. This is a common method used by landlords to ensure tenants can afford rent. It is typically recommended that tenants' monthly rent should not exceed 30% of their gross monthly income. 35. Rent increases. Annual increases. Many landlords include clauses in the lease allowing for annual rent increases, often based on inflation or market trends. Market rate adjustments. If the property's rental rate is below the market average, landlords may raise rent between tenants to better align with current market rates. 36. Eviction alternatives. Cash for keys. In situations where a tenant is difficult to evict, some landlords offer cash for keys, which means paying the tenant a small sum to vacate the property voluntarily. This can sometimes be quicker and cheaper than going through a formal eviction process. Mediation. Landlords can use mediation to resolve disputes with tenants before escalating the situation to court. 37. Legal fees. Landlords should budget for potential legal fees, especially in areas with complex landlord-tenant laws. Having a real estate attorney on retainer can help avoid costly legal mistakes when drafting leases, handling evictions, or navigating regulatory issues. 38. Subleasing. Some tenants may wish to sublet their rental unit. This practice can be risky for landlords if not managed correctly. Some landlords explicitly prohibit subleasing in the lease, while others allow it but require prior approval. 39. Property appreciation versus cash flow. Some investors focus on cash flow, regular income from rent, while others focus on appreciation, long-term value growth. A balance of both is ideal, but many markets may favor one over the other. 40. Homeowners Association HOA fees. If the rental property is part of a condo or homeowners association, landlords must factor in HOA fees when calculating profitability. These fees can cover maintenance of common areas, landscaping, and amenities, but they also reduce the landlord's net income. 41. Tenant-landlord agreements. Lease agreements. It's critical that landlords have legally sound written lease agreements. These should include terms like rent amount, due dates, penalties for late payments, duration of the lease, security deposit details, and responsibilities for maintenance. Addendums. Landlords can include addendums to leases for specific issues such as pet policies, smoking policies, or specific tenant responsibilities, e.g., yard maintenance. 42. Tenant complaints. Handling complaints. Promptly addressing tenant complaints can prevent disputes from escalating. Landlords should have a clear system for managing repair requests, noise complaints, or neighbor disputes. Documentation. Always document communications and any actions taken regarding tenant issues. This can protect landlords in case of legal action. 43. Rent bumps. Scheduled rent bumps. In some commercial real estate leases, there are automatic rent bumps, increases, scheduled every few years, which ensure that rent keeps pace with inflation or market rates. Inflation-protected leases. Landlords may also include clauses that adjust rent annually based on the Consumer Price Index, CPI, ensuring rental income remains in line with inflation. 44. Maintenance versus improvement. Repairs. Landlords are generally required to maintain the property and ensure it meets local safety and housing standards. Routine maintenance might include fixing plumbing, electrical, and HVAC systems. Improvements. Unlike regular maintenance, improvements can increase the value of the property, e.g., adding energy-efficient windows, upgrading appliances, or renovating a bathroom. 45. Real estate partnerships. In a real estate partnership, multiple investors pool their resources to purchase a property. These arrangements can spread out risk and reduce the amount of individual capital required. However, they require clear agreements about how profits, losses, and responsibilities will be divided. 46. Asset protection for landlords, LLC limited liability companies. Many landlords hold properties in an LLC to protect their personal assets. In the event of a lawsuit or financial issues, only the assets within the LLC are at risk, not the landlord's personal property. Umbrella insurance. In addition to landlord insurance, many landlords purchase umbrella policies, which provide extra liability coverage in case of major lawsuits. Tenant screening service, third-party screening. Landlords can hire companies to perform background checks, credit checks, eviction history, and verify employment for prospective tenants. This helps minimize risk and ensures a more reliable tenant base. Online tools. Tools like TransUnion's SmartMove or RentPrep offer tenant screening services, making it easier for small landlords to vet applicants thoroughly. 48. Depreciation recapture. When selling a rental property, landlords may need to pay depreciation recapture taxes on the portion of the property's value that was depreciated over time. This tax is levied at a rate of 25% and applies to the depreciation deductions taken during ownership. 49. Forced depreciation. Forced depreciation refers to the value increase that comes from making improvements to the property, e.g., renovating units or adding amenities. This differs from market appreciation, which happens naturally due to supply and demand in the real estate market. 50. Turnkey properties. Turnkey properties are fully renovated and ready to rent as soon as they are purchased. Often marketed to investors looking for minimal involvement, these properties typically come with property management services already in place, making them attractive for out-of-state or hands-off investors. 51. Rent roll analysis. A rent roll is a report that shows all the rental income for a property, listing each tenant, their rent amount, lease start and end dates, and any additional fees. Reviewing the rent roll is essential when evaluating the performance of a rental property, especially for multi-unit buildings or commercial properties. 52. Property inspections. Move-in, move-out inspections. Conducting inspections when tenants move in and out helps document the condition of the property. This can be critical for handling disputes over security deposit deductions. Annual inspections. Regular property inspections can help catch issues before they become major problems. It also allows landlords to ensure tenants are taking care of the property. 53. Landlord-tenant laws by state. Real estate and rental laws vary significantly by state. For example, some states are more landlord-friendly, allowing for quicker evictions and less restrictive rent controls. Other states are more tenant-friendly, requiring longer notice periods for evictions or stricter housing regulations. Research local laws. Understanding local laws is essential to staying compliant and avoiding costly legal battles. 54. Self-management versus property management. Self-management. Some landlords manage their properties themselves to save on property management fees. However, this requires a significant time commitment and a willingness to handle tenant issues, repairs, and legal matters. Hiring a property manager. Property management companies typically charge 8 to 12% of the monthly rent, but can handle all tenant-related tasks, including rent collection, repairs, and leasing. How 55. Real estate crowdfunding. Crowdfunding platforms. Some investors participate in real estate crowdfunding platforms like Fundrise or Realty Mogul. These platforms pool investor money to invest in large real estate deals, offering an alternative way to gain exposure to real estate without direct ownership or property management responsibilities. 56. Natural disaster preparedness. Landlords should be prepared for potential natural disasters, such as floods, hurricanes, or earthquakes, depending on the property's location. Ensuring proper insurance coverage and having contingency plans can protect the investment. Disaster insurance. Standard landlord insurance may not cover events like floods or earthquakes, so purchasing specific disaster insurance for at-risk properties is crucial. 57. Gentrification and its impact. Gentrification. This process occurs when neighborhoods undergo revitalization, attracting higher-income residents and businesses. While property values may rise, it can also lead to displacement of lower-income tenants. Investment opportunities. Gentrifying areas can offer substantial returns for real estate investors who buy properties early in the revitalization process. However, it's important to be mindful of the social and ethical impacts of these investments. 58. Real estate development. Some landlords and investors venture into real estate development, which involves purchasing land and building new properties or redeveloping existing ones. This is a more complex and risky strategy, requiring greater capital and experience, but potentially offering higher returns. 59. Rent default insurance. This type of insurance can protect landlords from financial losses if tenants default on rent payments. It's an option for landlords who want an extra layer of financial security, especially when renting to tenants with lower credit scores or unstable income. 60. Cash reserves for landlords. Maintaining adequate cash reserves is essential for landlords to handle unexpected expenses such as major repairs, vacancies, or legal fees. Experts often recommend having at least 3 to 6 months of operating expenses in reserves for each rental property.